So this video is titled How to Save Your Relationships When They're Not Going Well. And this is an interesting one because there could be a few reasons that they're not going well. And if you're not aware of some of the tools that I'm giving you, you may not want to call out a person to be nasty or evil or end the relationship right away before trying some of these tools. You may want to give them a shot first before you kind of judge a person and say, well, they're this or well, they're that, And I'm going to go through some of these tools to talk about how to save a broken relationship. So the first one is patience. And so you want to be patient because what gets you to that place where your relationship is not good didn't happen overnight, and you aren't probably going to solve it overnight. So you need to learn some new tools if you haven't already. Now, if you are really good at discerning who is a kind of a not so good person from a good person, and you've set boundaries and you've told them your time frames when you're available, and they're basically not following it, but you're keeping the boundaries strong, then maybe this person isn't a great person for you. They may not be a great fit for you. But if you've never tried setting boundaries with people, and this is a new concept for you, you may want to give it a shot with them before you let them go, because you haven't really given them a chance to follow the rules and follow the healthy boundaries that work for you, if that makes sense. And so they don't know how to respect you. They don't know how to treat you in a way that's healthy and productive, right? So you may want to give them that chance and talk to them and have that conversation before you let them go. And just to let you know that this time frame that I'm thinking when you want to try some of these tools will be within a couple of months. You don't want to take longer than a couple of months. If people are not straightening out and they're not treating you better after a couple of months of working with them and working with boundaries, then that means that they're probably not your right person. So if your friend is kind of texting you and they're draining you and they want you available on the spot to listen to whatever is going on in their lives, you don't necessarily have to cut that friendship right away, for example. You can just say, I'm not available at this time, but we can try for this time. Even setting a time, you're not even asking your friend to change, but you're just asking them to kind of respect your schedule, is actually a big improvement and makes the relationship a lot healthier, regardless of how that conversation goes a little later. But that's a really good start, and that's a good way to have healthy boundaries and healthy relationships with your family or your friends. Set a time when you're going to see them and set it in your schedule. Say it's this time, and don't be available on call to anybody, regardless if it's a romantic partner, a friend, or a family member, unless it's like you're a child care provider and you need to be on call to help a child in an emergency. If they're adults, they can schedule and you can meet at a scheduled time, and there's no need to be available at the last minute. Now, if people are used to you being available at the last minute and they try to push your boundaries, that's where the 2 to 3 month mark kind of hits with patience. It may take some time for them to get used to your new boundaries, and you may want to be patient and test them out and see if they will honor and respect those boundaries before you toss the relationship, right? If people are used to you jumping in and doing things for them, if they live with you, for example, and you're a roommate and you always clean up after them, setting a boundary may look like leaving the mess that they made and not cleaning up after them, right? And letting them clean up after their own mess. And it may take some time for that adjustment to happen, but having said that, it's worth giving it a shot before throwing the relationship away. If you've also overinvested in the relationship, let's say, for example, they're a really good friend that you always call and you're always the one bringing your sense of urgency and your story to that friend. You could be overinvesting in your friend, and you may want to actually give them some space because maybe they're pulling back because they're getting too exhausted from your energy, right? So again, set some healthy boundaries. Don't jump in and ask for help straight away from them. See if you can figure things out on your own and set a time when you're ready to have a discussion or ask for advice and you're in that place. Okay, so my last point after that adjustment period of setting boundaries and seeing if people push back against them, are they going to adjust? Are they not going to adjust? Be prepared for some, there could be some negativity there as you adjust, some awkwardness, and that can happen. And then the last question you want to ask when you're trying to save a relationship is it worth it? And that's a good question. If you haven't had good boundaries in your past, it may be worth trying out the new boundaries, like I said earlier in this video. If people haven't been treating you badly or haven't been treating you well, but it's because you haven't really had good boundaries in the past and you haven't asked for what you need and they haven't communicated clearly what they need either, then it's worth setting those standards and talking to people about it before dumping them and cutting them out of your life. You could be dumping them too quickly, you know what I mean? And you may have regret over cutting the friendship or cutting the relationship if you haven't really had an open, candid conversation about what's expected in this relationship. So it's worth doing that. Like if you're in a romantic relationship, for example, and your partner's extremely jealous, encourage them to go to therapy, encourage them to talk about it. Have a conversation with them about it rather than just like, boom, break up like the next day. Like you could, but you may feel better about it if you actually talk to them and try to save the relationship first. If they're not listening and they don't want to go to therapy, then you can dump them later. You see what I mean? But it's worth having that conversation because then when you're dumping them, you're going to have no regrets and you're not going to feel like, oh, what if I did this? What if I did that? You've already tried things already. Although sometimes people give off such strong red flags, you should just get rid of them right away. And it's not worth investing more of your time and energy. But I'm talking about kind of more normal, adjusted people with a few bad habits. Then yeah, try setting boundaries and see if they work. It's worth it because maybe you can still have a healthy relationship with an imperfect person. And it's hard to find perfect people, but we can set boundaries and turn those imperfect relationships into healthy ones, if that makes sense. Hope you're all having a great day and take care. Bye now.